In his latest article, An Establishment in Panic, he writes, the establishment is horrified at the Donald's defiance because deep within its soul, it fears that the people for whom Trump speaks no longer accept its political legitimacy or moral authority. Former presidential advisor and Republican presidential candidate Pat Buchanan joins me now. Pat, I have a different take. I think instead that the concern about what Donald Trump said in the final debate is about the problem he poses for the will of the people as expressed at the ballot box. I mean, he seeks to undermine that without even knowing what the results are. How am I wrong?
Well, you're wrong in this sense. I don't know if the vote's going to be rigged. But I certainly do know this, Michael, the system is rigged against Trump. And the fact that the hysterical reaction of the establishment to a comment that someone says, look, I don't know if I'm going to accept it, what do they think he's going to do? He's going to march on Washington as the head of Coxey's army? Is he going to burn down the Capitol or something? Or is he going to say, look, I don't accept the results and I'm not going to phone Hillary Rodham Clinton and say congratulations? What explains this panic? This at the heart of the establishment over a simple comment. My belief is simply this, Michael. I think the establishment is terrified that it has lost the country, that the country does not believe in its leadership, and for three basic reasons that Trump has raised. The establishment has left the borders open, and millions of people have walked into this country and changed its character. Secondly, it has exported our manufacturing base. Millions and millions of American jobs have been shipped overseas, dispossessing the American middle and working class. Third, they've got us into one war after another, after another, after another. They cannot win or end. And the country has risen up against the establishment in both parties.
You've just raised three legitimate points for public debate in the context of this election, but none, when the people speak, through and including on November 8, are a justification for undermining the properly chosen successor to Barack Obama. And that's what he seeks to do.
Let me give you some reasons. Number one, Bernie Sanders ran a fair, tough fight. Was not the outcome fixed against him by the superdelegates and the National Committee working with the Clinton administration, as well as the White House, and as well as the media working against him? Donald Trump and Ted Cruz won 75% of the Republican vote. A vast majority of the country, 75%, says we would like dramatic change in Washington, and we're going to wind up with no change in Washington if the election goes the way it's going. Now, you tell me that's not a rigged system.
Pat, it's not a rigged system. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz may have had her thumb on the scale relative to the DNC, but I don't think that she affected the outcome of that election. People who went and cast their ballot, you're giving way too much credence and credit to her ability as the head of the DNC to play favorites and influence the outcome.
Well, let me tell you, look, the country wants change and it's not getting it. And one of the major reasons is the media. Now, in the 19th century, Marx said, power is control of the means of production. Arthur Schlesinger said around 1960, power is control of the means of communication. The left and the establishment control 85% of the communications in the United States. They have overwhelmingly weighed the scales against Trump. They've attacked him. Look, Trump made a statement about rapists when he came down that elevator. It's been repeated 10,000 times. Hillary Clinton has called half of Trump's supporters racist, sexist, homophobes, xenophobes, bigots, un-American, irredeemable. Which of those two quotes has CNN used more often?
You are conflating the rigging of an election with media bias, and that is something that. And that is something, wait, let me finish now because I've been fair to you. That's something that Donald Trump has done without being challenged on it. You reference in your current piece the Clinton cable. I assume that's a shot at CNN with regard to the way in which we covered Trump's statement in the debate the other night. Let me show you the Wall Street Journal. The Wall Street Journal is not Clinton cable. Here's what the Journal, a Republican oracle, said. That again is Mr. Trump's ego talking, a man who doesn't like to lose, refusing to take responsibility for his campaign. Voters on the right and left want to have faith in the electoral system. That's my argument. You're setting the stage for people to wake up on November 9 and question the legitimacy if it's Hillary and if she's won fair and square. That's not right.
Look, I'm telling you, I don't know that the vote's going to be rigged. I didn't say that. I said the system is rigged.
You use
not only saying you hold it. You hold on. rigged. I'll use it. The system is rigged, okay? You said CNN. Now, you mentioned the Wall Street Journal. Editorial page, horribly hostile to Trump. New York Times, Washington Post. You can't pick up that paper without reading anti-Trump stuff. The three networks, the cable networks, except for Fox. Overwhelmingly, the left and the establishment control the media, and they are controlling the outcome of this election. And the very fact, what are we supposed to do? Get up and salute? I'm in Virginia. The governor of Virginia 6 months ago says, I'm going to make 200,000 convicts voters by November and by executive order. I'm supposed to salute that and say, isn't this a wonderful example of democracy? The point is, go back to the basics. The borders have been opened up. Millions of people brought in to change the character of the American electorate to where the conservatives in middle America can never win again. That's the point of my column, and it is the truth.
Your argument about the media ended in 1992. The media today is whatever you want it to be. It was liberal. Today, it's Breitbart, it's Drudge, it's AM Talk Radio, it's all of that if you want it to be. Whatever you want to find, it's out there. And here's what I'm saying with regard to your 3 items of substance, which I think are legitimate issues. Go and win it fair and square. And if you can't win it fair and square, then don't whine about it when it's over and say, well, the whole thing was rigged.
Will you tell me why 70% of the 5% of the American people wanted dramatic change? They wanted it in the Democratic Party. We saw what happened to Bernie. They got it in the Republican Party. But all of a sudden, the election toward the end, we're not going to get any change. We're getting the same people who brought us the wars, who brought us open borders, who exported American manufacturing, who gave away all those jobs, who are responsible for the arresting of the wages of working Americans. You think all those folks out there in middle America are enraged and turning out at Trump rallies, bringing him to a point at one point where he was not only even with Hillary Rodham Clinton, but looked like he was on the verge of victory, despite the worst and most savage beating I've ever seen by the media against a candidate? You think all that's some kind of accident, Michael?
That beating has been administered to Donald Trump with his own words and actions. If 10 women hadn't come out and said that he sexually assaulted them, there'd be nothing on that score for us to be reporting. Come on, Pat.
Now, why are you running about? I mean, you guys spend all this time figuring out why Trump should not have said that Miss USA to spend all her time in Burger King. At the same time, you've got all kinds of grave problems going on in this country. You've focused on trivial pursuit. I admit you've got these little misdemeanors, but what is important about this country, the big issues, are you guys focused on those, or are they focused on running around gathering up these women to make Trump look bad? I mean, the point is, if you think that Trump's got a fair deal in this election, I don't know how you can say that. You're not watching the same media the rest of America is. Why is the media's reputation so low, Michael? Why are they so detested out there in middle America?
17 days are left. This ought to be plenty of reason for people to go and vote. They can choose their side and act accordingly. By the way, I'm not on either of these sides. I just want full participation. All right?
Well, wait
Patrick,
a minute.
thank you.
I've seemed to...
Go ahead. Get your final word in.
I've watched you on TV. I think I know who you're going to vote for, Michael, and I think the other viewers do as well.
I don't think so, Patrick, and that's why there are curtains on that ballot booth. Thank you, my friend.